he knows Haiti, knows Jamaica, Dominican Republic. He's been working on economic development matters for quite a long time. He's retired now. But
Not retired.
you're not retired. And at one time, he was the representative of Puerto Rico to the Congress of the United States. So he knows Washington also. And once he was the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State for all practical, not here of Puerto Rico, for all practical reasons, is the Vice Governor of Puerto Rico in order states they call them Vice Governors. He's a lawyer, he's an engineer, and he belongs to a family that has worked for economic transformation and political transformation here for a very long time. So I thought he was in a very good position to talk to you about the role of the state. Now that I've told you about him, let me tell him about you. The majority of people here are Haitian living in the United States. Some in Boston, some in Atlanta, but they go back and forth in Haiti. And some live in Haiti and have activities in Haiti. Here we have some doctors, both medical doctors and non-medical doctors. We've got everybody here. We have people who are notarios, and we have people who are engineers. They are professionals. We have economists. And for some, most of them come from one area. This is the area where I come from, which is Gonaïve and the Antibody, which is a significant part of the country, I believe. It is second in population. It's not first because Port-au-Prince has a lot of people. It's hard to win electoral votes at the national level if you don't have that area. You expect one most popular population base, both urban and rural. Traditionally it was rural population, now it's both urban and rural. So when they ask me, they want to talk about economics, they want to talk about development, they would like to come here, so this is why we're here. That's all I have to say.
Very good. Thank you very much.
The floor is yours.
I'm going to stand up. Yeah. Well, it's a real pleasure for me to be here, and I will talk about economic development. And I've been working with economic development since 1966. I went to Boston University for my engineering degree. Then I came to Puerto Rico for my lawyer's degree. Then I got a scholarship from the Economic Development Administration, what we know in Puerto Rico, we knew, now we have changed, by Fomento. So Fomento gave me a scholarship, and then I went back to Boston, to Cambridge, to Harvard Law School to get my master's degree in the area that would help me in economic development. Mainly taxes and other related areas. If you don't understand whatever I say at some time, please interrupt me and I will repeat it again, or Paul will help me. I've known Paul for many years. I appreciate very much what he has done and what he's doing for Haiti and for Puerto Rico. So I can never say no to him, you know. But to tell you the truth, I would have been here anyway. First, I'm gonna be 84 years old
84.
in a month or so.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. And that people ask me why, you know, how, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm very Catholic. And they say, what does that have to do? Well, you know, the first miracle that Christ did was change water into wine.
Yeah.
So now wine is better than water. So I don't drink water. So that is the reason. Well, I got a sore throat. Doesn't have anything to do with the wine. Okay. So the economic development of Puerto Rico is very important. Why is it important? It's not only important to Puerto Rico, it has been important to many other countries. We started our program in 1948. I was 8 years old then. And it came about because we needed, you know, people in Puerto Rico at that time. And I remember when I was 5, 6 years old, most of the people, but most, when I say, you know, 90, maybe 95% of the people in Puerto Rico were poor, very poor, very, very poor. And if you can compare it to Haiti, in some cases, yes. We have, you know, people who would work from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock and didn't make enough for the families. I remember seeing, you know, they had boys like this, 5, 6 years old, no shirt, no shoes, big belly of worms. And then, you know, the streets were not cement at that time, right where the Banco Popular Center is right now. That was really, at night you could get the crabs, you know, we're going from one place or the other, you would light them and get them. And people, Puerto Rico was poor. And in 1938, 1948, we started that program, which what we did was, Teodoro Moscoso, who was a pharmacist, became a friend of Muñoz Marin, who was the first elected governor of Puerto Rico, and the leader of the Popular Democratic Party, started in 1939. It started at the same time that I was born. So, and my father is the one who drew the insignia for the party, which is the Ibaro, you know, what you say, Ibaro? Yeah, the peasant, then in Puerto Rico. So the idea Teodoro Moscoso had was that there was legislation in the United States that could be used by companies coming to Puerto Rico, and they would have to pay no taxes in the United States. Okay. So this was done for the Philippines when the Americans owned the Philippines for a while, not too long. The businessmen from the United States were competing with the businessmen from United Kingdom, or England at the time, Spain, France, and they had to pay no taxes in their countries. So what Teodoro told the governor is, if we can bring that industry under that law to Puerto Rico, they will pay no taxes in the United States, they will pay no taxes in Puerto Rico, and then later on, they can take the money back to the United States. And that's how the program started in 1948. It was 100% tax exemption at that time. And that could be done because in our relationship with the United States, we have what we call fiscal autonomy, which is because we don't vote for the president, we don't have to pay taxes. And that is because the United States fought a revolution on the basis of no taxation without representation. So that concept, is what embodies Puerto Rico's relationship with the United States. If we are not a state, so we don't vote in the Congress, or we don't vote directly for the president. I was a member of Congress and I would vote in the committees, but I wouldn't vote when the bill was going to be approved by the whole Congress. I wouldn't vote there. So that's the difference. No voting, no taxes. And that's how we were able to start our program in Puerto Rico. We had not only the fiscal autonomy, we also had open market. The US market was for us. Everybody else had to pay duties and different taxes to take their product to the United States, but we didn't. So we had that additional advantage. What was produced in Puerto Rico could go then to the United States without paying any taxes. So that was an advantage. And that way we started our economic development in 1948, the legislation, but then in 1950, 51 to 52, 53, Puerto Rico became a showcase for the United States, a showcase of the Caribbean, we were called at that time. And then we had a lot of the new developing countries coming to Puerto Rico to see how we were doing that and why we were doing so well and what could they do or what could they take from what we had. Ireland was here, South Korea was here, Taiwan was here, Singapore was here, and many other countries came to Puerto Rico. They learned from what we were doing. Now you're going to ask me, well, why you are not doing so well? Well, I'm going to tell you why we're not doing so well and why you should do what we did, not what we're doing. Okay? Now, I went to Taiwan, I went to Singapore, I've been to South Korea, I've been to Taiwan many times, and in their books, it says how they came to Puerto Rico and what they learned. Taiwan took what we were doing and did it better. Ireland, the same thing, and they respected it. They continue. This is one of the things that I'm going to mention later on. I say 5, you can maybe say 6, 7, 9, I don't know. 5 things that I believe are utmost importance for you to be able to develop the economy of a country or of a place, whatever. In 1985, I was appointed then Economic Development Administrator. I was in charge of the agency. I had worked in the agency in 1966, from 66 to 69. Then I went into private practice, and then I was called to serve as what is now Secretary of Economic Development, which at that time was the Administration of Economic Development, or the Economic Development Administration, which was called Fomento. And at that time, it was the administrator. Now it's the Secretary for Economic Development. Now, in 1985, I was called by the governor, had been elected 1 month before that, and he called me and says, Tito, I need you to help me with Fomento. We have a problem with the federal government wants to eliminate the tax exemption that we grant, what was the 936 at that time, which was, as I said before, was developed and it was legislated for the Philippines, but it included all of the territories of the United States. Therefore, it included the Virgin Islands, and it included Puerto Rico. Obviously, Puerto Rico had a much larger population. So when he told me that, he said, the government, federal government wants to take this away. Why don't you help me in trying to sell to the United States the idea that Puerto Rico can help the countries in the Caribbean and Central America with the money that we have from those companies in Puerto Rico? Because at that time, they could keep the money in Puerto Rico. They could send it whenever they wanted, but they would do, if they kept it for 10 years, they would pay zero tax. If they kept it for 5, they would pay 5%, every maximum of 10. So it was, keeping the money in the banks in Puerto Rico was good for them. Before, under the legislation, prior legislation, they would do it somewhere in Europe, and it wouldn't help Puerto Rico, it wouldn't help the United States. But by leaving it in Puerto Rico, it helped Puerto Rico. Because we could see, they had to pay no taxes on the income from their investment. Therefore, the interest that they required on their investment was less than what they would require if they had to pay taxes on it. Obviously, you don't make a profit, you have to pay all the taxes. But if you pay some taxes, and then you make a lower profit than if you pay no taxes. So that was the idea. The concept was that money, and we had probably at that time, we had from 10 to 15 billion dollars on the banks here in Puerto Rico on that. In 1985, the Treasury Department had said that they wanted to eliminate that. So it was my duty to make sure that didn't happen. So I went to the Congress and I said, with the governor and with at that time, the resident commissioner was a very good friend of mine. We went there and we said, okay, we have those funds in Puerto Rico. We have a lot of that industry in Puerto Rico. We want to help the Caribbean. We want to help you help the Caribbean. So we're going to do something that is good for you, is good for us, and it's good for the islands or the countries in the Caribbean. So I used to meet with any of the people or any of the politicians, mainly prime ministers or presidents of any of this country. I would go there and say, okay, it has to be good for you. It has to be good for the United States, and it has to be good for us. If not, it's not going to work. So, in very rough figures, in those 8 years that I was in charge of that program, the program created 37,272 jobs in the Caribbean, not including Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico created, less than that, but a lot of jobs also. 185 projects and an investment of over 2,100,000,000 total. In all of, in different, the Dominican Republic is probably one country that benefits the most. When he wrote his book, and I'm gonna show you this because this is what shows you that it can be done. We had some advantages. Everybody has advantages. Disadvantages. Everybody has disadvantages. Any country. We go to Haiti is a special problem. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to tell you the things that we need to deal with. Now, how are we going to deal with them, or how you are going to deal with them? And if I can help, I will be there. I've gone to Haiti many times. The first time I went was to the swearing-in ceremony of ICC. And then later on, I went many times when Preval was the president. So I've been there many times. And if you ask me, is there something that can be done? I'm going to tell you, very difficult, very hard. But obviously, it can be done. What do you need to do? Paul was saying, that we may need help in the area of security and all of these things. I think we probably need more than that. And I tell you, because I was in the Senate several times, and they were the problem. The politicians were the problem. And I could see that immediately by sitting down with them and talking to them.
Yeah.
So that is an issue that, to make sure that one of the 5 things that I'm going to discuss later on can be done, we need a government that works. I mean, it's important that you have some security. I'll discuss about that. But if you don't have a government that knows that what you're doing is right, and then if it changes, someone will follow up what he was doing. And that is almost impossible in politics in the Caribbean, including Puerto Rico. Because we are as stupid as that. That's a reality. We don't realize that for things to be better, we need to get our act together. And we need to work together. If we don't work together, you did great for 4 years, and then came another government and did whatever they wanted. So that's one of the most important issues. But let me read what the governor. This book came out after he died, but I'm going to quote what he said about economic development and about me personally. Obviously, I like that the way he says it. I have to mention it to you. Okay, he says, on the shoulders of Antonio Colorado fell the primary responsibility of the management that our administration had to carry out. I was the point head, the person in charge of directing. I had a good team, great team, and I had the industry with me. I had the rest of the government with me, and I had all the economic sectors and non-profit organizations. But Puerto Rico was together.
Right.
That is important. Both parties were together. Everybody was behind what we were trying to do. That's why we were successful. And we got the numbers that I just read to you before. But this is what he says. Then he says, with the support of all the administration officials, Colorado carried out his work over the next few years with extraordinary success. The push he gave transcended beyond our administration. The flow of investment generated in those years of my administration produced the following results. Between 85 and 91, Puerto Rico's cumulative economic growth was 20.8%. Only Japan surpassed us. 240,000 jobs were created in Puerto Rico. Total employment totaled 999,000 in fiscal year 1993, the highest level up to that time. Per capita income, Puerto Rico was the higher and more evenly distributed than any other country in Latin America. The deposits of 936 funds in Puerto Rico banks from 85 to 92 amounted to $1,285 billion. Our economy grew faster, and this is very important. In those years, our economy grew at faster rate than that of the United States.
Wow.
Not only that, When there was a recession in the United States in the early 90s, in Puerto Rico was none. So we were doing better than the economy of the United States on growth. Obviously, we were not at that level yet, and we're not there. Puerto Rico assumed the leadership of economic development in the Caribbean. And those are the numbers that I showed you. My relationship with many of the presidents, for example, Michael Manley, we became good friends. We worked together for the Caribbean in many ways while I was in the government and after that also. And the same with Trinidad, Tobago, all of Central America, Dominican Republic. So we worked very closely. There was not much that we could do with Haiti at that time. Later on, I was in charge of Caribbean Central American Action. That was a group created to help the Caribbean and Central America. That was originally created by David Rockefeller and a group of friends. And we had people from all of the countries, from Central America and the Caribbean, including Haiti. I can't remember now, we had at least one or two members on our board who were from Haiti. Now, the Political Risk Services, which was a group that used to evaluate the different countries, they were from England, but they had offices in Buffalo, New York. The Political Risk Services ranked Puerto Rico for 2 consecutive years as the most attractive, safe, and reliable place for investment worldwide. So that's where we were at that time. You were here. That's where we were. Now, we had a system that worked. And we, during those 8 years, we were able to convince the government of the United States, because of what we did in the Caribbean, that it shouldn't be taken away. That legislation should not be eliminated. And it was not at that time. A new government came into Puerto Rico. And again, as I said before, you have something that is working, but a new government comes. Oh no, I got to change that. Why? Because I didn't do it myself. That had not happened since 1948, because in 1969, we had a governor for the first time from the other party, and he didn't change it. Then we had Hernandez Colon, the governor that I worked for. He won the first time for 4 years. Obviously, he didn't change it. Then came another governor who was there for 8 years from that same party, and he always talked bad, very bad, about what we were doing, but he didn't change it. As a matter of fact, he had a group promoting it, and it worked and continued to work. Then we were there 8 years, continued to work, so it worked fine from 48 to 93, 94. But then they decided to change it. They gave it to the federal government. They said, we don't need that. And that, from then on, we've been going down all the way. We changed the rules. We have never had an attractive programming with consistency. And that is why we had, at that time, 170,000 jobs in manufacturing. We have about 70,000 now. So we lost about 100,000 jobs. Still in manufacturing. Obviously, we have not increased much in the other areas, but we have sort of compensated with jobs that don't pay the same amount. The industry has been changing from one type of industry to another. We still are exporting over $50 billion a year, which is a lot, in products that we manufacture in Puerto Rico and go to Europe and go to most of them go to the mainland. Let's go then to if we were going to start from scratch, we're going to start a new program. We want to invite investment from other places. Now, we talk about Haiti, obviously, you need to bring investment because you have some local groups, individuals, etc., that have a lot of money. I don't know how many of them are still there or how many have left and have their companies doing work. I met many of them when I was in CCAA, and I remember telling them one night before we went to see Preval, I told them, you are my friends, but you are not my objective. See, I'm not here because of you. You are my friends, but the people that I want to help are the people from Haiti. Those that are not you. But you need to help me help them. Because it makes sense. I remember in El Salvador, I told a group that became, after many years, then finally they got into power, they won the election, and they represented the people who had the money, that for many years in El Salvador, they would say that they were the 11 or 12 families that were there that had all the money. And I told him, okay, you win the election, you can do a lot of things. The numbers in the economy sometimes don't mean much if the people don't feel it. I mean, the people, the people who have the least resources, who need help, they need to feel that they are better. That there's something happening that is good for them. That they are participating in that economic growth. I will take, for example, Dominican Republic. For the last probably 10 or more years, they have had a continuous economic growth of an average of close to 7, 8, 10%. That is great. But are the people receiving part of that benefit? Maybe yes, but not much. Maybe yes, but not much. So again, that is important, but you have to create the growth. You have to bring the industry. You have to bring whatever projects, tourism, industry, medical, whatever. Now, I'm going to tell you about what I think are the important factors for continuous and sustainable development. The first thing you have to do, and I have to say, right now, Haiti doesn't have much to offer. In none of the 5 things that I'm going to say, Haiti can offer much. I was a friend of, you may remember her name, I don't remember her name. And at my age now, I have that excuse, Yeah, yes. I don't remember this. You should remember. I should, but I don't. She was Marie something. She was in charge of tourism.
Marie Spinet.
Yeah. I remember I sat down with her several times, and I told her, one of the things that you have to offer, which is very good, and it's something wouldn't cost much to bring people into Haiti. Now it's very difficult, but if we can make things change, if we say we the world, if we can make those certain changes, then this could be very attractive. I told her, one of the best things you have is your cuisine. It's unique. The food. Yeah. The restaurants. I remember when I went to Aristide inauguration, when we went into the palace, it was, I don't know how many, they had a lot of tables full of hors d'oeuvres, tapas.
Table garni.
Huh?
Table garni.
Yeah. Everything. Now, you tasted one and you tasted the other one, but you wanted to have more of it. Everything was good.
Yes.
Then I would go to the restaurant, the same thing. And I would tell them, it's not expensive at all, but you got to change the image, the image of the city, so that people at least have some certainty that there's some security and nothing's going to happen with them. And I told them, you bring people Friday, and then they have that night, take them to one of the very good restaurants. Next day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, then maybe on Sunday or Monday morning, they would go and they would have maybe 5, 6, 7 different experiences on Creole food from Haiti. So that, no other island, I would say, maybe Martinique, maybe Guadeloupe, maybe they have some of it, but not as much as we do. I mean, the flavor, the everything, and you don't need, most of it you can just generate it right there in Haiti. You don't have to bring many things from abroad, because you're used to doing it. So I think the first thing that you have to do is you have to realize what are the competitive advantages that you have. Maybe it's something that tourism, yes, but first you have to do the food, for example, is something that you have right now. You say which are the best 10 restaurants, and you tell them, okay, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. I'm gonna bring the people. And that I can do that. Anybody can do that. And then you get people to know the country. That's one example. I mean, obviously, I'm not an expert on anything. Maybe economic development, but not an expert. Sometimes I hear to some economists, and they talk about what can be done, but they've never done it. They've never done it. You had a friend of mine here that I know very well. Yeah, but it's very easy to write a theme or a paper or a book and say what should be done in the Caribbean. What the hell do you know? You've never been there. Have you created one job? That is important. You need to get the people who can do it and bring them from wherever they are. Muñoz Marin brought people from all over the world. So there are two things. I mean, the first thing is, what do I have to offer? What is my advantage? That's number one. Now, the second thing, you have to understand the difference between local capital and foreign capital or foreign investment. Local investment and foreign investment. Local investment is the money that you have there. Now, in the case of Haiti, there is some, not so much. But whatever is there, if it's utilized to create economic development, that is something that you invest, that you have, and you put it to work in your country. That's one type of investment. But you're going to need another type of investment, which is the one that comes from abroad. If you make it attractive, the ones that live there should be able to invest in their country. But then how you bring people from other countries to invest in Haiti. As I said, the first one, which is the one from your country, you develop, you try to make it sure that it works for them. They pay their taxes or whatever they do. In some cases, you may say, okay, you don't have to pay taxes if you do this. And you can do the same thing with the local and with the one that comes from other places, especially when you're talking about the diaspora in the United States. How do we make it attractive? Well, whatever they have, I mean, you have people that have some money in the States, maybe not so many billionaires or millionaires, but they can put companies together and they can work, but they have to sit down with a government that makes sense to be able to do that. But the foreign investment is also twofold. If I am in, let's say, in the United States, or I am in any other place, and I'm going to invest in Haiti, let's say, or in Puerto Rico, whatever.
Oui, oui. Ok, je vais faire tout de suite. Sorry.
Okay. The difference between foreign export investment and foreign investment to benefit from the local market. Many people say, oh, that company came from China or whatever, and they're making a lot of money in Puerto Rico, okay, or in Haiti. How are they making that money? How are they, they invested $1 million and they had $50 million in sales, 50 billion, whatever. Where is their market? Now, if the market is Haiti, if I'm investing in Walgreens in Haiti, the money that I sell, the products that I sell, somebody would sell anyway. So I don't need to attract them. Maybe at the beginning we could have some companies, but no, I can create those companies in Haiti. Because they are going to live from the money that you produce. Because they're going to sell the people in Haiti that make a living, they get paid, and they buy the products. That's one, different investment. When I talked before about the local investment, we're talking now about the foreign investment. We're talking about the foreign investment that is going to use your market. See, for example, big companies go to Brazil, manufacturing pharmaceutical products. They go to Brazil because they have so many million people that need to use pharmaceutical products. So they produce there to sell right there. That is one kind of investment. Obviously, it's better for me that somebody in my country produces the products that I need. It's better than if I have to buy them from abroad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is not bad. But that is one thing. That is, do I have the market? Are my people earning more money? Are they buying the product? Which are the products? I have a friend who used to sell rice. I don't know, he still does, in Haiti. But again, yeah, he was benefiting from that market. People eat rice, I take rice, and I get a lot of money. Perfect. But there is the other one, which is the one that is important, because, all of them are important, but this one is the one that if you want to attract, then you have to comply with a good number of things. For example, okay, companies come to Puerto Rico to manufacture a product. As I said, we sell $50 billion, we export. All of those products go to market that the company has already. They're not looking for markets, they have it. They come to Haiti or they come to Puerto Rico to manufacture a product so that it's economically good for them to manufacture in Puerto Rico. They have a profit, but that profit is not really made in Puerto Rico. That profit, Puerto Rico is a place where they put things together, or where they create a product, biochemicals, whatever. But they could do that anywhere, because they're not attracted by our market. And then people say, oh, we produce $50 billion for the United States company. You didn't produce any.
Yeah.
Why? I have the market, I have the money, and I have the product. I have to find a place where to put it together. So I have to compete with Singapore, I have to compete with Taiwan, I have to compete with South Korea, I have to compete with Singapore, Ireland, Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic had no jobs in free trade zones. The first time I went there, now they have 200,000 jobs in the free trade zones. I was invited to talk to them a number of years ago about this, basically about this. And they've done it in a way that they keep growing. What more they have to do? Yeah, I told them, politics, a lot of other issues, and distribution of that income that is being produced for the people. Okay. So which are those factors? Now I'm going to talk about that type of company. The company that is going to come to me because I have the market, that's something else. That will come. The local investors will come also if the environment is good. But this will only come if the sum of all of these factors are good. No. So what is the foreign investor looking for? And this is important because when you have a country and you put people in charge who don't understand this, they don't know how to deal with the companies, and either they give them too much or they give them too little. If I bring a new corporate company, say Basset Travel or whatever, to Puerto Rico, let's say, I'm going to tell them, okay, I don't want to give them more than what they need, and I cannot give them less because they won't come. But the one that negotiates has to understand that. They are looking for profits, obviously, stability. Well, number one, the cost and the quality of the labor. Talking about the different issues, no? Talking about education. How do I make sure that if I want to bring this type of plant to Puerto Rico or to Haiti, how do I make sure that I have the people who can do the job? Because if I attract them, they don't have, I have not the people that I have to educate, or I put them, in Costa Rica. I told the president of Costa Rica once, you want to bring a top company, go to New Jersey to this company. Don't don't even tell them that you're going there. You go there, go to the office, and you say, I'm the president of Costa Rica. I want to speak with the top man here. So he did that. He did that, and he brought Intel to Costa Rica. How did he do it? He went, he saw the chairman of the board, or whomever was in charge. He told them, okay, you want to come to Puerto Rico, to Costa Rica. What do you need from me? And he asked for two things. We call them promoter. I need someone, a promoter that will help me, will take me by the hand so that I have no problem. So the president said, okay, I am your promoter. Here's my phone. I'm your promoter, here's your phone. Okay, you call me if you have any problem. The second thing he says, the universities educate people that I don't need. I need to make sure that the people that I need are educated in Costa Rica. So he told him, okay, I got the phone number here of the president of the university system in Costa Rica, whatever it was. And I'm going to have him call you, get together with your people. You're going to tell them what you need. And while you are establishing your operation, we're going to be producing the people that you need. Yes. We're talking about education, but that's part of it. See, universities continue to educate people on things that people don't need anymore. Now, I think there's a course called judicial something. I don't know what the name is. I'm an attorney, but I don't know what the name is. I don't care either. Because everybody wants to do that. But they don't have any place to work later on. So you got thousands and thousands of people with that type of education. Can't do anything. Can't. So the cost and the quality of the labor, and obviously education. Cost and quality of services. Number one is the cost and quality of labor. Okay, labor. Do I have the people that I need? Yeah. We have them prepared. Can we prepare them to work for the companies that we're going to attract? Number two, cost and the quality of service, electricity, water, etc. Now in Puerto Rico, some of the companies that are here have told me, Tito, I don't give a damn if it costs $40 a kilowatt hour, whatever. I can pay that, but I need good service. Yeah. So it's not a matter of interruptions, or it's a matter of having the energy all the time. Yeah. If it goes off and on and on and on, doesn't serve my purpose, because every time I have to stop, I lose millions of dollars for 10 minutes. I lose millions of dollars. Okay, so you have cost and quality of labor. First, education. Cost and quality of the services, electricity, water, etc. Cost of transportation is also important. Cost of transportation has continued to go up, and it's very expensive now. So if I have to manufacture, right now you have to manufacture in China many products. The most expensive cost is not the product, it's the transportation. Same thing, we buy products from California, agricultural products from California, and the cost of the product is much less than the cost of bringing it from California by land to Jacksonville, from Jacksonville to Puerto Rico. Too much. So that is important. Where is my market? or where is the market of the person that I'm talking to, the cost of taking the product to that market, and the cost of bringing the raw materials to Puerto Rico or Haiti, whatever. Number 4, the government. Okay, that's number 4. I think I'm going from less important to more important, or from more important to, I don't know. But this is one of the more important. You know, it's the attitude of the government. Does the government really want you to be here? Do they treat you as if they want you to be here? Do they help you in getting all the things that you need? Do you have security in the country? Are you safe? Are your businesses safe? Investment? Or are you going to have a judge that is going to say that, you know, all the money you put in now belongs to someone else because someone else gave them some money? That happens. It happens in the Dominican Republic. I know, because I had clients. I talk to the presidents and I say, you know, I tell them sometimes, you know, you're worse than crime. It doesn't pay. They don't pay. I remember I told Leonel, coño, sí. Pero como el crimen, ¿no? No pagan. And that is true. And somebody has to tell them, it's my friend, so well. And he knows. Now, so you have security. Talk about that. Justice. It's important. The courts have to be there, you know, to help you if you have a problem. Health, it's important. Infrastructure. We had in Puerto Rico, we built buildings in many places in Puerto Rico. We have the buildings there ready for the investor to come. Here you have it. What you need for me to change, and we would change. We had promoters at that time. So we had time, permits, all other, you know, every procedure. How long does it take me to get the approval on a project? You know, I went to Singapore. Singapore, you go to a government agency. I remember going to one computer, working on it. And I said, for example, I want to establish a jewelry shop here, a map in this place. And I didn't have to pay anyone. I didn't have to do any of that. Basically, it would say yes or no. That's it. Sorry. Yes, you can. No, you can't. So you can't. Okay, well, can I hear? Maybe. Let me check. Yes, you can. But in less than 15 minutes, you have an answer.
Oh. So
if you have, you know, if you have established a planning board with that will show what are the uses for different places, and they would say, okay, here you can do manufacturing, this type of manufacturing. Here you cannot. But here in Puerto Rico now, the one of the things is you go to a place and you say, okay, I want to put you need, we need to change the whatever they call it.
Zoning.
The zoning. You have to change the zoning for that. Okay. How long will that take? Oh, it can take maybe 1 year. Maybe 2 years. Maybe I can find someone that can get it faster. Sometimes it's almost impossible. No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. But again, I remember when I was in government, I did something that helped us a lot. And at least 2 countries in the Caribbean, including one of them was Trinidad and Tobago, the prime minister called me and told me, Tito, I did this. and it's working. What I told him is, when the second administration of Governor Hernandez Colon, I was then Secretary of State, and I told him, okay, we got a lot of projects coming in from the work that we've done in these last 4 years. We need to move fast. He says, well, what do you suggest? I said, well, I suggest that you meet every week with the top 1 hour with the top authorities that has to give permits or approvals for a project. So we get all of the projects that were more than $1 million. And he told me nothing. I'm not going to do it. You do it. So I have no problem doing it, but you're the one. That's not what people know that, you go, you can do it. Okay. So every week I used to meet with the guy who was on the water authority, with the electric company, the planning board, the whatever environmental controller, all of that. And we would sit down and I would go, okay, where is this project now? Oh, I have it. What do you need to approve it? Oh, I need some. Oh, okay, you have to do that. Okay, next week that's going to be it. And it worked. And it worked because they knew that if they didn't do it, it was the governor who was going to call them and tell them, get out of here. But I remember the president, prime minister of Trinidad calling me and telling me, Tito, I did it and it's working. It works. It works. It takes 1 hour, maybe from the prime minister or from the president or from the governor. But you have to do it. You have to get involved. It has to be someone that, if I don't do it, there are going to be consequences. And no hanky panky, and no, it's not because so and so pay you. No, this thing has to work fast. And you don't have to pay anyone anything. Now, if the president or the governor says that, it's going to happen. If you do things fast, then you don't have to give money to people to get the permits for you. So I say when I go to, there's something that the letters maybe seem to be something like marijuana or cannabis or something like that. You need TLC. Tender loving care. Yeah. That's the name of the game. The investor has to feel that he's wanted and that he's helped. If I have to take 3 years to get the permit, the cost of doing the investment in Puerto Rico and Haiti goes up. So these 4 things are important, very important. The last one, which becomes important if you don't have all the other 4 things working the way they should. Because this is the balance of all of these things has to be positive. Being positive is they have to be better than what the others have to offer. It's very simple. Now, so the last one is I can give money, investment in Singapore. I remember one of the companies, I was the attorney for many of them, but I remember one of the companies told me, Tito, we went to Singapore. First thing they asked me, okay, you're going to do this product, how much? This is the investment. Said $40 million. We'll give you 20. We should be able to do that in Puerto Rico, but we haven't done the things the way we should, so we don't have the money to do that. Therefore, what do we have? If we don't have the money, then we have to give tax exemption. So basically, it's that labor, services, transportation, government, and money or tax benefit. Now, when you have to study the balance of all of this, that's what the company will do, and make sure that what you're offering is positive. Okay, I'm competing with the Dominican Republic. What do I have? Okay, I have the advantage of the federal courts in Puerto Rico. That's good. It gives them some certainty to the investor. I have the market, but they have the market also because they have a treaty. We have good employees. They're more expensive, but they're good. Okay, do they produce enough to compensate for the more money that they're making? I remember once one company came and told me, we're going to Mexico. One of them had been my client for many years, Baxter Travel, Baxter Laboratory. And he says, well, Mr. Colorado, in Mexico, I pay $2.50 an hour. And in Puerto Rico, I pay 22. Okay. Have you seen the latest statistics of employees in Mexico? The turnover is 12 times a year. So I mean, every month, the average employee would change up. So that person that you're paying $2 and you have to get a new one next month and the other one next month, and you have to be training all of them, you're telling me that it's more productive than the one that you have in Puerto Rico. Oh, well, yeah, I knew his boss. So he was vice president, I don't know what. And I told him, if I was Mark Chalabi, I would fire you. Now, are you gonna?
I guess.
and then I told him, well, talk to Marshall and tell him if you really want to go to Mexico. I remember two of the companies that went to Mexico went bankrupt. One of them was Timex. Remember Timex? Oh, they left Puerto Rico, they went to Mexico, went kaput. So again, they have to analyze also those things. Sometimes you help them. Sometimes you help them, but that is what is important. I say that we need five C's. Certainty, that is important. Certainty. I have to be certain that what you're telling me is true. I have to be certain that you're going to help me with this. I cannot be thinking, well, maybe yes, maybe no. The more certain I am, the better off I am going to your country. The second one, confidence. Yeah, I have to trust you. I have to make sure that not only is the certainty, but I trust that you will follow with that you will not change the legislation. I'm here, I have a tax exemption of 4%, and tomorrow you say, no, we're going to change it, put it 6%. I think you're making too much money. No? It doesn't work that way. So, certainty, confidence, commitment. The government makes an agreement with you. It's committed to you, to helping you. You're making money, yes. But you have a lot of people that work in governments that if they don't make millions of dollars, and they will never make millions of dollars, they hate that somebody else makes it. I don't have millions of dollars. I decided that in my life, yes, money is important. I love to go places. Yeah. My wife, still working. She resigned. She's 80 and she's still working at the Register of Deeds. So I told her, enough is enough. I continue to work, but I do the work that I'm pleased to do. 80% of it I don't get paid, but the other one, I get something. So that commitment has to be there. Continuity, again, the same thing. Continuity, meaning that things don't change. And when they change for a reason that you can explain and that will not hurt them. So I can say, okay, I'm going to change this way. I have an agreement with you. You want to do it? Yes, I will give you this, but I want to change that. Perfect. But you cannot change it unless they want to. Because you made an agreement. And if you start doing that, and that's what's happening in Puerto Rico also. Every time a new government comes in, they want to change it. And they have no idea what they're doing. And communication. Okay, you need, we had the promoters in Fomento, and they would become friends, family. They would go and be with investors all the time. But the governor has to do that. The president has to do that. The ministers have to do that. When I used to go to Japan or any country in the world to promote Puerto Rico, I would start by, a few papers with some notes and telling them. And one of the most important things I think that I told them was, you know what? I'm a government official. Government officials are not to be trusted. Therefore, I have the vice president of Westinghouse, I have the vice president of Baxter, and I have the vice president of this other company. I will leave, and then you can talk to them. Wow. Very good. I promise that I will do that, but don't take my word. The guy from Westinghouse that went with me to Korea, to China, to Hong Kong, to Taiwan, and they had been here for 35 years. And they had, at that time, 16, 17 plants in Puerto Rico. I remember when I went to California, my first trip as secretary. I asked, well, I'm going to have so-and-so help me, or this has an operation here. And then one lady was Chinese, asked him, what do you like about the Puerto Ricans? Well, I'm going to tell you, because we were in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and he says, I came to Puerto Rico. And I said, because I have tax exemption, I'm paying a little less than what I pay in California. I'm paying half of what I pay in California, something like that. And I have these benefits. I said, well, if they produce half of what the Bay Area employee produces, I'm happy. But you know what? The Puerto Rican is producing 3 times what they produce in the Bay Area. The Japanese came, a guy from Japan told me, in Japan, it takes us 4 months to train the people to do this. In Puerto Rico, we said, well, we'll give them 6 months and give them 2 more. No. On the 3rd month, they were doing it better than the Japanese. With Germany, I had the same. They had an operation here. They said, Tito, there's no reason. We do better here than we do. As a matter of fact, one of the from Abbott, I remember he told me, I cannot tell the truth in Michigan. Why? Because they get mad at me, because I have to tell them that we do better here, much better than they do. But all of that has to be structured. And obviously, the things that we mentioned that are important are important. Education. But the most important is that TLC is that, tender loving care from the government. That includes moving things fast. Time is of the essence. Whatever I promise, I have to do. Well, that's more or less what I have to say, but now you tell me what you want to know. I told you what I wanted to tell you, now you tell me what you want to know.
Yeah, quick question.
All right. Yeah.
N'a dit parce qu'il y a des auditeurs en Haïti qui nous écoutent via Radio Provinciale et n'a profité de votre idée que rencontre ça qu'a fait, il fait dans le cadre de rencontres intergénérationnelles, c'est-à-dire des générations qui se rencontrent actuellement à Porto Rico et nous avons une délégation de la ville d'Aiguaï qui est avec nous, qui vient participer depuis mardi, ici ensemble avec nous, pour des réflexions à faire. Et avec de grands spécialistes, à partager expérience avec nous, à guider nous. Et je veux dire, nous sommes deuxième conférence, nous, et pour le moment, radio en direct, il y a pile de monde qui a nous, c'est que notre sujet qui a débattu que intervenant Monsieur Antonio J. Colorado, qui est ancien vice-gouverneur de Porto Rico, ancien ministre du développement économique, il a aidé nous comprendre l'État, rôle l'État dans le développement du pays. Il a essayé de montrer tout mécanisme, toute structure que l'État doit gagner pour permettre un pays de fonctionner. Maintenant, nous vivons dans le moment que nous avons posé des questions. Nous connaissons un peu de monde qui suit nous. Nous avons essayé de faire résumer ça pour nous-mêmes. Now it's time for question and answer.
All right, so
Go ahead.
yeah, my first questions. In the initiative, you talk about the two very important things to me. Talk about the competitive advantage, and also you talk about the local capital investment and non-local. We as you know, I don't know if you know or not, the DR, the Dominican Republic, basically overtakes the market, the Haitian market in on some product, like rice, for example, because basically now they can produce it a little bit cheaper. So by the time we get that to the market, to the Haitian market, so it flowed the Haitian market. So do you think that the government should go ahead and impose some kind of taxes to their rice, or do you think that we should just try to work with them to get them to open some kind of manufacturing in Haiti, which will be cheaper, which will at the same time hire some local employees, which basically Haiti will benefit from that.
Well, I think that's what you want to do. But to be able to do that, then you have to take into account the things that I mentioned. Because if you tell them, okay, we have the workers, we'll give you some tax benefits, and then we will buy the product. So that's your market. Obviously, it can be produced there. And you can go to different companies. They you say, okay, I want to produce rice in Haiti. How do I do it? Okay. First of all, you should get an expert, because you know what happened in Puerto Rico? We tried it twice. We tried it once. We failed. And then, because we forget things that we do, or we don't look bad at the things that we do, we look back, we did it again, and we failed again. Why? Because there were some birds and some animals and whatever, and you put the rice and the rice was not there anymore, So you have to do analysis. Is it worth it? Okay. So you have to analyze each product, you have to analyze every, and you can get people who are not biased, who are from, get an expert from whatever, maybe from Africa. They're working on so many things right now. You got so many people doing things there that can come and tell you, okay, we'll do it like that. From the United States, maybe, but maybe the competition is different. So maybe from Central America. There's so many experts on all of that. But if you do it, I think I want to maybe rice is a good idea. Yeah.
So basically,
maybe it is.
Yeah. Okay.
But I gotta be sure, because you don't spend enough, or you should spend whatever is necessary to analyze it. Okay, then you say, okay, we can do it. Now, we can do it. These are the basic costs. Now, is it gonna work? Now, so-and-so is buying it from someone. So he's not gonna produce it here, the someone might. So, it takes some analysis and, it takes some work, but it can be done. And that's the idea. I mean, many of the products that we produce in Puerto Rico were being produced in New York. And we brought the whole, how do you call it, production of handkerchiefs and many of those things we produce in Puerto Rico, and we had thousands and thousands of jobs.
So basically,
Then that changed, because things change. People live better, you raise the wages. Then there's some products you cannot produce, and you have to go into others.
so basically, what you're saying is that for each of the products, so we have to do some kind of cost benefit analysis before we make a decision.
First, agriculture is a must. Now, you have destroyed most of your land.
Yeah.
But you gotta make it, you gotta come back, we gotta do whatever is necessary, piece by piece, okay, we wanna produce. What they did in Israel. Yes. The land there was not worse than yours. No worry. And we can bring people from Israel. Tell them, okay, I'm sure, to help Haiti, I don't know, we can bring people from all over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. And give us ideas and say, okay, you can count on me for whatever I can help you do as part of the things that I want to do before I die. And I'm not willing to die. But I keep quiet because I don't know if it is that he lost track of me.
Which is good.
Or say anything. I keep drinking wine. Okay, let's see what we can do. Go ahead.
There's no question?
I do have a question.
Okay.
You said that the first time you went to DR, there was no job in free trade.
There were no free trade zones.
There was no free trade zone.
Right. I went to the first inauguration of the first manufacturing, I don't know, piece of land or park, industrial park. That was in 1968.
That's what I wanted to know. When did you go? Because
1968.
now they have over 200,000 jobs.
I've been there all the time. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. When I went back in '85, then it was starting. You had some free trade zone. The number one free trade zone, which is ICAO, was developed with companies that I brought from Puerto Rico, that I took from Puerto Rico to the Dominican Republic. And now they, at the beginning they said, oh, this is great what we're doing here. Later on they realized that it was because I had pushed all of those companies to open an operation. They're still there, and they're still working with the Puerto Ricans, what we call the Twin Plant Program. And so you can also think, okay, what can I do maybe that I can do part in Dominican Republic and part in Haiti? That's the type of thing that we did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Professor?
Yeah.
Did I talk out?
Well, you know
Well,
Any question?
Any more questions?
Please.
Is there a way to do any of these without involving the government?
No way.
Because that's the block.
If you don't have a guarantee, I'm not gonna go there and put money there.
Yes.
Yes.
The only way would be, but then you would need to have a lot of money to be able to guarantee the operation, but you cannot guarantee that. Yeah, it's very difficult.
So basically now, with a non-functional government, it will be almost impossible.
That is the
Yeah.
first thing that you have to do.
I have another question. Do you have a way to figure out when not to give too much to a company bringing it?
You need to know the companies, you need to do analysis. I knew because I have been their attorney for many years. So you need to find some people who know because of that and bring them as advice or whatever, so that, first you have to know, okay, what is the Dominican Republic offering? What is Costa Rica offering? What is, different countries? And then, okay, where can I compete with them and where can I?
Thank you. Well,
Okay.
let's keep going.
Right?
So I'm right here.
You let me know when you need me.
Oh, that's special gift for you. Special gift.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Dans le studio, France, un peu de musique, on va le retourner dans 15 minutes pour partie importante, c'est transformation d'Haïti. Nous avons un débat assez intéressant, et c'est avec Dr. Paul, ingénieur Jean-Aubert Jean-Noël et plusieurs participants là. Dans 15 minutes, retourner et de la musique maintenant.
Oh, that's
For your commitment,
Oh.
to share your knowledge.
Thank you very much. But it's in English, it should be.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. ICC, there's spies, right? Just spies.
What need to see?
Like you said, this one was supposed to be in French, I think you're gonna like that one.
It's in Creole.
That's
It's
fine.
With the color of
time
the
to
flag.
stand up.
I know. Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Presentation, and I will say things.
Thank you very much.